In today's Do Something With Your Marketing, something to not do. I'm going to read you a pitch here. This is from the Marketing Over Coffee inbox. For if you don't know, am and have been the co-host of Marketing Over Coffee, a marketing podcast, for 12 years now. Marketing podcast. Hi, my name's Katie. I work at some company, a digital marketing that specializes in supply chain and logistics companies. I recently featured your podcast in our blog about the best supply chain podcasts. I'm writing to see if there's an opportunity to be a guest on your podcast. I would love the chance to chat about all things supply chain and logistics. So, no. Another one. Hi, my name is Hannah with some company. We're big fans of your podcast, and our co-founder asked me to reach out to you last month for the opportunity to appear as a guest on your show. He has a wealth of knowledge we feel your audience would love and be able to apply to their own business. Okay. And let's do one more. Hi, I hope you're having a fabulous day. I'm sure you receive mountains of inquiries. True. My fingers are crossed you'll allow me 60 seconds of your time to share with you why I'd be an outstanding guest. Okay, I am the #1 best-selling author of something, founder and CEO of this company, a marketer who's conducted 100 research studies. I'm an international keynote speaker and an over-the-top dog lover. So, pretty much none of those things, except maybe the dog lover is interesting. I would be happy to present you to my audience, which includes over 1,000 Twitter followers and 1,000 followers on LinkedIn. Cool. So, as you can tell, all of these are pitches, some at least relevant, others wildly off topic, and it actually just goes downhill from there because there's a whole bunch of now PR people who are pitching their clients through the contact form for Marketing Over Coffee. Now, what we do, because my co-host John is a consummate professional, is just send them we're full up on interviews, but if you'd like to sponsor the show, here's the sponsor kit. As opposed to my first reaction, which is give me a someplace where I can, I don't know, do something unspeakable and evil, but that's why we're such a good pair. He's the grown up. So the logic here, the point here is what not to do when you are trying to get onto or into somebody else's publication, whether it's a blog, it's a podcast, it's a video series on YouTube, doesn't matter. A few things are wrong with the approaches here. Number one, for the most part, everyone who says, hey, I love the show, has not indicated in any reasonable way that they actually even listen to the show. Somebody emailed the other day in here, says, I love watching the show on YouTube. We haven't put a video on YouTube for Marketing Over Coffee in 7 years. But they are just using a template. It's a PR person using a template. So, number one, probably know who you're pitching. And then, like, the supply chain logistics person. Like, okay, cool that you like supply chain. Supply chain's cool. But that's not what the show's about. 2, it is a pretty stock thing to do in relationship development, and any sales professional with any sense will tell you this. You have to give value first. You have to give something, anything that is of real or intelligible value before you earn the right to ask. I, as a marketer, can't ask of you until I've proven that the ask will also be to your benefit. Otherwise, you're just going to tune it out. And a lot of these pitches are just wildly non-valuable. Some are at least, polite and civil, but they're really, really bad. And third is build the relationship first. And this applies specifically to anyone who is having somebody else pitch you. Now, I get that there is this whole system of belief in sales and in public relations about a person who is the interviewee should not be pitching themselves. They should be having someone else pitch them, having someone else represent them, so as to create a perception of importance. So, I'll have my people call your people. We can debate whether or not that's still an effective tactic because things have changed in the modern era where these lovely little devices that we all carry around give us all instant 24/7 access. But most of these pitches come across as really ham-handed because it's not the person themselves that's doing this. It's some assistant or PR person or something like that. And I'll be honest, the last person I want to hear from is a PR person most days of the week. The exception is obviously the folks who work in PR who are clients of my company. But other than that, for the most part, I don't want to hear cold pitches. I don't want to hear from PR people who are doing cold pitches. I personally am a little more receptive to somebody who is actually the person who is reaching out, because at least you could see if there's any interest. And the one person that I've talked to recently that actually wanted to hear from was somebody I met at a conference before they ever even broached the topic of, hey, can I show up on any of your shows? So you've got to build that relationship first. That's 101 of PR, right? Build the relationship first. Give before you ask, and you'll get further. You may still not get on the publication of your choice, but at least you have tried to bridge that gap, as opposed to just throwing stuff into the cold, dark beyond and hoping that somebody reads the thing and gets you on. This has become much worse in the last year, as particularly podcasts, but blogs and newsletters, but especially podcasts have become so hot. Everyone and their cousin seems to be starting one. If you're pitching to be on a podcast, make sure that you know who it is you're pitching, what it is the show is about, who the hosts are, why, and how you provide value up front before you ever pitch the show. So, real simple example. This comes from Ginny Dietrich, who is the author of Spin Sucks, and full FTC disclosure, also an advisor to my company. But one of the rules that she set down was that you need to follow the rule of 10, which is you give value 10 times before you ever reach out. So the example she gives is, if you know that you want a podcast to feature you or your guest, you listen to the episodes and stuff, then you share and retweet and reply and interact 10 times over the span of 5 to 10 weeks, warming up that relationship, giving value, sharing it with your audience, helping promote the show, so that when you make the ask, the people know who you are. The people who are the blog or the podcast or the reporter or whoever it is knows who you are. At least should recognize your name because you've been active on their behalf and you've given legitimate value first. You've done the thing for them. Now, even if you only have 10 Twitter followers, as long as you're tagging in the show or the podcast or the people who are on it and saying, like, check out this episode of Marketing Over Coffee where John says Chris must have fallen asleep on the plane if he missed this thing, right? It's how you demonstrate that you're dialed in, you're paying attention, and you're giving value without asking for anything. That's what you got to do to get visible. So that's what I'd like you to do with your marketing. And if you work in marketing and you're working at a mid to senior level and you've engaged an influencer agency, public relations agency, a content agency, make sure that they don't do this on your behalf. There's nothing more awkward than getting a pitch from an agency representing somebody that you're personally friends with. I got one of these about a year ago for an event just before Social Media Marketing World, and I was like, "Hi, I'm so and so. I represent this person, who's going to be at Social Media Marketing World speaking about this thing, and we want to make sure everybody knows about it. Would you like an introduction to this person?" I'm like, I had dinner with them last week. They're like actual friends, and you didn't do your homework and saying, these are the list of people that the person knows personally. Either don't bother pitching them or make it a much more personal ask. So the final takeaway is, if you do your homework, know who it is that you're pitching and their relationships, because you'll be much more effective in
Want
doing
help
this kind of
solving
outreach.
your company's data, analytics,
It's
and digital
targeted
marketing problems?
appropriately.
Visit
So that's this week's Do Something
trustinsights.ai
with Your Marketing,
and
the
let us know how
ranting
we can
edition
help
about
you.
what to not do when you're trying to get in front of anybody who's got any kind of publication that you also want to get in as well. As always, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and the newsletter. I'll talk to you soon.